I'm willing to bet this is Al Pitrelli.
You win the bet, or you lost the bet, depending on how you look at it.
Anytime I got you on the phone with me again, my friend, it's always a win in my book.
How you been, my brother? How's the family? How's everybody?
Everything's great over here in the beautiful, warm, sunshine state of Florida. How's life treating you, friend?
I'd have to invent something to complain about, dude. Life's good right now. The kids are back in school. Everybody's doing great. The year kind of flew by again. I love hearing your voice, but that means there's another year in the books behind us,
I know, and you were just about to launch the on sale. I mean, the fan club on sale has happened today and yesterday, but the full on sale goes on tomorrow and the next day for another year of Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Yes, sir, and I love the way you said that because it makes me the sense of pride that I have when I hear you talk like that makes me just feel incredible because, we're approaching 30 years almost. This thing opened its eyes, winter 95, another couple months and I could celebrate 3 decades of doing something I love as much as I love my children.
And as far as TSO goes, I know Paul, obviously, brainchild between of so much of it. Musically, you being a musician at heart, do you think there's going to be new albums coming out? Are you kind of like what we have is so iconic and the show that we put on, it's such a set thing that people love and expect that we can kind of sit with this and keep it going? What's going on that front?
Well, Paul was one of his pet peeves was people who become complacent and lazy, and he just wanted nothing to do with people like that or anything like that. Always write new material, always coming up with new stuff, always making the show bigger, always making everything the best that we could possibly make it at all times, Now, obviously you're aware that we lost him 7.5 years ago now.
Yeah.
So everything, emotionally came to a screeching halt, but he left us such an incomplete body of work, and by incomplete I mean not recorded. We have so many tapes of him playing guitar and singing, or playing piano and singing, or maybe things were half demoed. That we do have a lot of material that we started to look at. We'd love to finish, but we're just kind of getting our legs back. You just with the task at hand is continuing on. Dream number one is continuing Trans-Siberian Orchestra until he wanted us to live past all of us. So that's become a priority. And now that we're settling in a little bit, I'd love to look at new material, and when we have. I don't have anything that I could tell you is going to come out or release or anything like that. But, he was such an incredible writer, and he wrote so much all the time that, we have a lot that's unfinished.
I bet he seems, and I never knew Paul personally, but he seems like I would put him in the similar category to, say, Eddie Van Halen, who would just go to the studio every single day, sit down, write, record stuff, whether it made it to a song or not, and he just has a library of demos and bits and pieces.
Absolutely. That's who he was. He had an incredible work ethic. He pushed everyone around him to do better than you think you could do, and we all were very well trained over the years. And listen, I'd rather have him in the same room with me, and fight like brothers fight and create like we created and watch him come up with something that I could never have thought of. But he's alive in my heart, and every time I hit a chord on the guitar, it's his chord.
Yeah. And, of course, he's the one that set up pretty much the entire production, which if anybody out there has yet to see Trans-Siberian Orchestra live, what the hell's wrong with you? It is just
exactly
one of the most insane productions out there. It's so big that you guys have to do 2 different touring groups that crisscross the country to hit all the cities you can possibly hit in like 60 days or less.
Yeah, exactly. And again, that was unprecedented. Who's done that before us? Nobody. Everything that Paul did had never been done before. That's what's fascinating. Well, one of the fascinating parts, if you look at the history of this thing, writing a song, coming up with a piece of music that was so aggressive musically with, screaming guitars and so powerful and so deep, and it became like the number one requested song in America every year around the holidays. It'd never been done before. And then to do records like that, stories and have poetry tying the stories together and the songs together. Never been done, and then going out on tour with this thing, and then, like you said, chopping it into 2 halves because, we don't have the wherewithal, we don't have the time for one band to travel the country. So let's do 2 bands, Never been done before,
Right.
And then okay, like we ran out of real estate at Tonight Show, so let's do a 2:00 show, huh? All right.
Yeah, you've got matinee, night show, 2 nights back to back. Next night, you're in another city.
Yeah, and it's just like, but again, if you think about it, if you look at it today, it's mind-boggling. But if you followed it for the last almost 30 years, and certainly 25 years of touring, well, it started out, what's his name, Bill Gates in his garage.
Yeah.
Okay. Now look, or Steve Jobs, or Walt Disney, or whatever. Anyone with an artistic genius like that who sees the bigger picture will start small and be in there for the long haul. This was never about commercial success with Paul. This was about artistry. And he told me one of the first times we ever recorded together, he goes, I just want to make great art. And if it catches on, bonus. But boy, did it catch on.
Oh, it absolutely caught on. And I'm looking at your touring right now. And you say that, you guys started small. You've grown much bigger. So you're used to this. You're pros at this. And I get that. But here's what some people may not realize. Let's just take one of the groups, November 22nd, you got a 7 p.m. show in Spokane, Washington. November 23rd, you've got a 3 p.m. show in Seattle. That's the same group, and that's a 4-hour drive. So your crew has got to tear everything down at 11 o'clock at night, get it on the trucks, 4 hours over to Seattle, set it back up, and be ready to go by 3 in the afternoon. That's insane, man.
Yeah, and you know what? It is. But it's the greatest crew ever. They are the best of the best, and they rehearse the show as much as we do by the order of the trucks being loaded in, unloaded, offloaded, repacked and out, the buses, the choreography to get the buses in so there's no traffic jam in the parking lot, I'll turn around and, and it's like, like you said, 4-hour drive, sometimes a 400-mile drive. And like you said, they're rolling at midnight, and they got to be back in the building at 5:30, 5:45 in the morning, so I can get a sound check at 1 o'clock.
It's just nuts.
And never missed a downbeat, never once. And again, a lot of the guys, the men and women on the crew, have been with me for 20-something years. They love this thing like I love this thing. And they don't know how to not succeed. We will get it done, boss. Don't worry about it. I'm like, okay, let's dance.
I definitely have 100% faith in you, and just like you have got faith in your crew, because, I've seen it 7-8 times now, I think, and there's never been a misstep by any means. So it's always been perfect.
All right. Listen, if you're saying that, it's truth. If I say it, I'm selling a show. I'll just let you do all the talking. You know what I mean, brother?
I'm totally fine with that because, and of course, we were going to get to it, and I don't even know if you've seen it yet because I think as we talked the last couple of years, you're one of the last people to even see what this year's show is going to look like because the effects, the special things that you guys do with scissor lifts and smoke and lasers and this, that, the other, that's working year round. You get in a little bit later on, shortly before the tour kicks off, like a month before or whatever, to do the sound rehearsals. But all of the special effects and pyro has been going on behind the scenes the whole time.
Exactly. And listen, I will not put eyes on that until I get to production rehearsal in Council Bluffs in a couple of weeks. I've heard about it. We've talked about it. I've seen drawings regarding it, all that. But to be honest with you, I won't know until I see it. And when I do see it, I immediately turn into a teenager all over again. It's crazy cool.
It is very cool, and I'm one of those guys who I'll watch those social media reels, like Justin Timberlake's most recent tour. He had this giant floating secondary stage where he was like rappelling off one side, and in my mind, I'm like, okay, they got part of that idea from the guys in TSO, and are the guys in TSO going to steal that idea and do something like that? So I'm always curious what you got coming up.
I'm not rebelling from anything. I promise you that much. At my age, that would be a detriment. So I'm not sure what we're going to do, but I will have my feet firmly planted on the stage at all times.
I'm just awaiting to see when you guys are going to be the first band to have a drone light show inside the arenas that you play, where you got drones flying around.
Oh, God help us. Listen, I don't ever say, listen, I learned a long time ago that, whatever the idea is, look, let's see it through, because you never know what's going to fly, no pun intended. And, that's live rock and roll, And this is an absolute live rock and roll show surrounded by an orchestra. If we would have stayed traditional to what arena rock is like, we wouldn't be doing any of this stuff,
Right.
I remember like it was yesterday, brother, that Paul O'Neill said, I want the lasers in the song Wizards in Winter to sync up to the guitar solo. And the guys on the crew said, dude, we can't do that. And he goes, really? And he pulled out his iPad, laptop, whatever it was, and he showed some guy in somewhere in Ohio who had his entire house Christmas lights synced up to Wizards in Winter, and he had a staple gun and a ladder from Home Depot.
Yep.
And the crew went, never mind, we'll do it. And that was the end. That was the last time they ever had that conversation. Whatever came out of that big brain of his, they would do it.
And I think that video, still one of the most popular videos on YouTube, especially around the holidays. I think that video helped drive people to your shows because they're like, holy crap, if they could do this with this song on a house, what are they doing live? And you're like, well, you got to come see it.
Yeah, no joke. And again, you can't market this, there's no way somebody's going to have a perspective or a business proposal say, this is what we're going to do. It ain't going to happen.
Right.
This was an organic growth because people would see and go, I can't believe what I saw last night. And next year they'd bring, 2 generations of family members or coworkers or whatever. That's why we're so appreciative of the folks in the audience. That's the best press ever. Just go talk about this. I went home. You guys are still talking about it. That's fantastic. And you keep coming out. You keep bringing new people, and you're excited to see it. And it's become tradition for so many people. You, me, both our families, everybody. You couldn't have written that one up and sold it to anybody. It just happened. And I'm so grateful for it.
Speaking, I guess, on a personal level for you, having been a musician in a bunch of other bands, obviously TSO is number one. Do you have any dreams or aspirations still left inside you to start a side gig, go out, play some more just straight up metal, maybe not all the holiday stuff, get some just, devil horns in the air and rock?
No, not really, to be honest with you.
Been there, done that?
Been there, done that, and Paul gave me the opportunity to have a home with him. He didn't hire me as a guitar player, well, not completely. He hired me for my musicality, my fluency, speaking the language, my piano playing, my guitar playing, my arranging. And he gave me, I'm going to use the word ownership, a sense of ownership that you're helping create something. That was my dream growing up. Being a side player, a hired gun, or a studio musician, that was fantastic. I mean, you make a living on playing music. But once this thing became this thing, he's like, this is your home. And I'm like, I'm never leaving, brother. This is it. Yep. And the only aspiration I do have is for his dream to come true, which this will continue long past the time we're all gone. That's the milestone that I want to try to work towards. In 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and I can no longer do my job at the level that I do it, to pass the baton off, to the next generation and let them run with it. And when I leave this earth, I want my great-grandchildren to know that, hey, that music's still important. That's my pet project.
Well, I guarantee you that 99% of the people out there that know anything about TSO, when they think TSO, they think Al Pitrelli. So you definitely have ownership of this one, my friend.
Well, listen, I appreciate that. I will always, talk about Paul O'Neill and obviously the O'Neill family. It took a lot of us to get here, but, he was the captain of that ship. And, I got that steering wheel locked and loaded in one direction only. And to have my name associated with something so special exceeded all my wildest expectations, dude. I'm so appreciative, and thank you so much for saying that.